Hi, this is Brad Snyder, and this is my final project over brain compatible learning. By far, the number one takeaway from this class was the concept of primacy recency. For me, I realized that I was actually teaching the concept I wished to convey at the worst possible time, as students have two optimal times for learning called prime time 1 and prime time 2. So the takeaway from the book was actually to teach new material first, which is the first 20 minutes of class when you have their primary focus, and then you would utilize the downtime about 20 minutes in for practice. And then at the end, you could provide closure during prime time too, as this is a time where they can take away meaning from your classroom. The book also pointed out that you need to refrain from asking students what they already know at the beginning when you're introducing a concept, because that's usually what they retain, and they retain that misinformation, which is hard to undo. Also, they suggested that you keep lessons down to 20 minutes or less, as that's usually about the maximum that they can maintain focus, and then you have to alter things from that in order to regain their focus. The implications of that learning is that my students' retention will be higher. They'll not be exposed to the misinformation. The learning episodes I hope to achieve will be more successful, and then closure will send them away with sense and meaning of the concept that I had intended to convey in the first place. Since I am a math teacher, mathematical difficulties was a section of the book that I also found particularly compelling. I learned some of the obstacles to mathematical learning. Some of them I already knew existed. Obviously, math anxiety due to past experiences is the number one thing that students come into my class saying that they are not good mathematicians or something of that nature, but they've been led to believe that they can't be successful at math, and that's something that I hope to overturn. They've been conditioned to be helpless for the most part, and it's been acceptable that they can experience failure. A lot of times at home, they're hearing that their parents were not mathematicians, therefore it's okay for them to also not be mathematicians. And they do feel the added pressure of high stakes testing, such as MAP for my particular district. There's a lot of pressure. The students know the importance of it. We make a big deal of it, and I'm sure that that feeds into their anxiety. And I'm also guilty of teaching concepts that are too similar, and there's a lot of overlap, and I think a lot of the information you intend to convey gets lost. Some students are just discouraged by math because of their teacher's attitudes. Their teacher may not be excited or model the material appropriately and show them the relevance. And one of the things that I did not know about as a math teacher, and actually had never heard about, was dyscalculia, which is a confusion of the number sense that inhibits learning. So that's something that teachers can be on the lookout for. I also learned how to implement brain-friendly mathematics, and that memorizing does not necessarily ensure meaning, and that teachers need to be cognizant on how to stress the meaning rather than just the rote algorithms that usually encompass math. They also need to vary their instructional approaches for today's students and make sure that they are relevant and tech savvy and engaging for all their students. So anytime that you can allow them to use technology, I feel that the students are within their realm of their optimal learning zone. And you need to find meaningful applications to maintain their interest and show them at every possible opportunity how math is relevant to them and their lives. The implications of my learnings will ensure mathematical success for my students and hopefully diminish some of their prior bad experiences and replace them with some successes little by little. And I also hope that the expectations from both home and in the classroom will be heightened, and failure will not be such a easily palatable option for them. But the teacher needs to model the importance and relevance of math, and the teacher also needs to be mindful of any potential mathematical disabilities that may inhibit the learning of a particular student. The brain as a novelty seeker was also something that I really hadn't considered, but made perfect sense. Obviously, our students run around with their heads on their shoulders, yelling squirrel and constantly distracted and looking at multiple screens and wanting everything instantly. So, in the classroom, to kind of keep their attention, you could use humor. I am actually very good about that. I'm freely go off topic. My students almost know that to a fault about me, that I will gladly tell a story, give a life lesson, give something that provides some entertainment value to kind of regain their attention back on me. I do need to improve the amount of movement and getting up and around. However, stations and scavenger hunts and things of that nature have provided opportunities for that. And multisensory instruction is something that I need to continue to be mindful and implement often. Obviously, there's quiz games such as Kahoot and Quiz and a multitude of all these new apps that help engage the student. Music is one of the things that I do need to implement more often. I used to be a little bit better about playing it frequently as kind of around to the learning that's going on, but that's something that I could focus on as well. Implications of my learning. I learned that novelty provides the unexpected stimulus needed to sometimes regain the focus from our students' brains that are constantly batting from task to task. And anytime you can garner their undivided attention, obviously the engagement is high. Movement in the classroom gets the blood flow going, thus increasing blood to their brain, which has been proven to learning. So anytime you can get them up and around, it's beneficial. But the overarching concept that spread throughout the entire textbook and class was that with thoughtful planning, preparation, being cognizant of potential difficulties, different styles, different methodologies, and different strategies to implement within the classroom, you can obviously improve retention and transfer, and it will hopefully occur more efficiently. Thank you.